Let me quote an Arab poet who said, "If a nation chooses the life of freedom, then destiny should allow it." Egypt has reached an irreversible point of no return. We will no longer tolerate dictatorships, corruption, and mismanagement of our country. We have reached a point where no one can go back. There's only forward.
Everything afterwards looks like it was meant to happen. Everything looks like it was inevitable. The Whig interpretations take over. But as we're stumbling along this path, as North Africa and the Middle East stumbles along this path at the moment, it is very hard to see and to predict with any certainty the course of events.
One of the leaders of the East German democracy movement said 10 years on, "We dreamed of paradise and we woke up in North Rhine-Westphalia." No, so it goes in the aftermath of the adrenaline rush of revolution. But what I've seen of the idealism and bravery of the inspiring youths of these liberated Arab states or half-states, I am convinced that gradually they will move forward.
What is the most effective way to control people? The answer is not money nor power. The answer is mind control. The media apparatus is exacerbating divisions. It is using the same tones of the old regime, even after the revolution, spreading hatred and stressing so much on the differences that set people apart.
Noura complains that there's a lot of dissent in Egypt, that there's no agreement on things, that there's an irresponsible media. Well, look around at the United States, look around at this country. Well, welcome to democracy, Noura.
Political empowerment and activism are the most effective means basically to prevent the hijacking of the Arab revolutions by extremists, as our opponent mentioned, and also the most effective means against counter-revolutions by some of the senior military, senior echelons of the military in the Arab world.
What happens to revolutionaries after the revolution? We all know from history that the revolutionaries tend not to survive the revolution. And the bodies of liberals lay over the barbed wire as others walk over them to the future they would like. And there are some signs that that will happen in the region. Now, certainly, if I were a young Egyptian in Tahrir Square, I would feel that my hopes for my country's future had by no means been answered so far when we still have the military in control of the country, when we still see that.
You can't just wander into that sort of place and say, we're going to have democracy now and you'll get prosperity tomorrow. You remember somewhere in Dostoevsky's prophetic book, The Devils, one of them says to the other, when is the kingdom of heaven going to happen? In June. That is the trouble with this easy attitude to progress, which is, I'm afraid to say, terribly American. You know, the Americans don't really believe in yesterday and have too much belief in tomorrow.
Well, I guess I am an American because I do believe in tomorrow, especially when the alternative is to go back to the bleak police states that we've seen in these Arab countries for so long.
Egypt, Tunisia, and the Arab countries must remember that neither the French Revolution, nor the Industrial Revolution in England, nor the American Revolution provided immediate results of effectiveness. For example, it took the French Revolution decades to give birth to a functioning French Republic and adopt the foundations of human rights.
Turkey went through a catastrophe between 1911, when the Italians invaded Libya, and 1923, when the treaty was signed at Lausanne. She lost about a third of her population. So there was a clean slate with which to start. She had 7 million refugees who needed to be brought in. And she took, let's say, 80 years over creating the present stable, relatively prosperous arrangements. The Middle East doesn't have that.
I'm not sure where Professor Stone has been in the Arab world of late, but when I'm in Cairo or Tunis or even Benghazi, it certainly doesn't make me think of the remotest eastern parts of Turkey.
Professor Norman Stone talked about Turkey. It has taken Turkey almost 8 decades and still transitioning to democracy. Of course, you have to start somewhere, an institutional building. We know how long it takes, time, energy, and resources.
The toppling of the previous corrupt regime that benefited mostly a small group of cronies that should help the economic gains trickle down and be distributed more equitably among the population of the Arab countries.
On February 2nd, the protesters united in Tahrir Square against the attacks of the camels on the horses, which gave hope that the people will unite to confront difficulties in the post-revolution phase. But the unity has not survived when it comes to confronting economic challenges. The country's economy is now struggling. There is capital flight, reduced income from tourism, declining remittances with expatriates fleeing from Libya. However, an empty belly does not vote, and we need to satisfy the basic needs through long-run investment plans for a stable and a democratic future.
Egypt is a 7,000-year bureaucratic country. We actually institutionalized and invented bureaucracy. However, we know its remedies more than anyone. The current government is working on all those reforms, social and political and economic legislative reforms. It's my privilege to be part of all those efforts. Being a member of the revolution, I am privy to committees on in the Prime Minister's office, in the Ministry of Interior's office, social welfare and international cooperation. There's a lot of efforts currently trying to steer the country in a new direction.
The old Egyptian educational system utterly failed to establish democratic values and depended on memorizing study courses rather than investigating, analyzing, and resulted in killing problem-solving skills and analytical skills in Egyptians. And accordingly, many people still lack awareness of the true meaning of democracy.
I was in Sidi Bouzid, a little slice of Tunisian nowhere, where the Arab awakening began, with a tiff over a fruit and vegetable cart. I was in Tahrir Square for 2 weeks. I was in Benghazi, where lightly armed rebels battle Gaddafi's delusional abuse. And I'll tell you the phrase that I heard most from the youth that we debate tonight. It was, this is the first time that I feel my life is worth anything. The first time I feel that my actions can actually make a difference. Young Arabs are discovering what it is to become agents of their own lives with the capacity to change things rather than live in a world of conspiracy theories. They are leaving behind their captive minds.